Welcome to How-To in a Few. Today we're going to go ahead and fix a problem with this dryer. It still runs and operates normally except for the heat. It doesn't generate any heat. So the quick assumption would be that something is wrong with the heating core, and we're going to go ahead and check that out. We're going to remove it from the unit and check it out. This happens to be a Samsung, but many other dryers open and operate the same way, so it will be similar. So first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and pull it out of this little cubby and undo the air vent on the back, and of course unplug the unit so that we don't have any electrical shock risk. Alright, here we're looking at the back of the unit. I'm going to go ahead and locate the clamp. And remove the air vent. And I'm also going to unplug the power cord. And so power has been disconnected. There is a water connection here because this is a steam dryer. I'm going to go ahead and try to make the repairs here so that I don't have to turn off that water, and even with the water off, if I undo the water connection, we're going to have some leakage, so I'd rather avoid that. Here's what the new heater assembly looks like. I ordered this off of Amazon, a complete kit. The third connection here, the temperature fuse is inside and needs to be installed. This has to be bent. The reason why I know all this is that I've already worked on this and replaced this high heat over temperature fuse component because that was bad, and I'm going to show you how to check all that. This is a thermostat which helps regulate the temperature, and this is a connection for the actual heater coil that heats up in the dryer. So this is the new one. It runs the length of the dryer on this side at the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and open the front. First we'll take the top off. We'll open the front to take the door off so that we can access the screws, and then we'll take some parts off the back so that this can actually be removed out the back of the dryer. Alright, this top can actually be removed by taking a putty knife or some type of scraper in this crack. There's a couple of release clips underneath there. You have to kind of know where they are, where to find them. Most of the pros know that. But the risk is that you can damage the finish on the machine. So we're going to go ahead, since this one has the hinges pretty easily accessible. There's just one screw on the back. I don't think I'm even going to bother to show you that. It's just too easy. One screw for each hinge. That kind of loosens the back up. And that allows me to push it off of the clips without putting the release thing in there. So this is now loose. I'm going to move it slightly out the way, and there are 3 screws right here that hold in the front panel here. There's a screw here holding a bracket, and then 2 more that are at the bottom. I'll show you those in a minute, that are holding the door panel to the air intake inside. So I'm going to remove these top 3 screws. Okay, starting to come loose. I don't want this to fall. Next, there's a screw here. It actually screws into a bracket. Then 2 screws here. Alright, so now if everything's loose, there's a connection here for the door switch, and this should lift off. And there we go. Alright, since this is a little bit shaky here, I'm going to go ahead now and reattach these hinges. So what that allows now is that this can kind of lean up as intended. It won't fall off, even though it's still loose. And we can work and then re-clip it down when we're ready to close it up. Alright, next thing I'm going to show you is this is actually the front part of that heater assembly that I showed you earlier. We're going to remove this one screw, right here. That loosens up the entire assembly. But first I'm going to reach in there and undo the wires. Over on the side here, on the left side, there's a series of 6 wires that have to be removed. They may be on there pretty good, so you may have to pry them off using either a pair of pliers or a screwdriver. Just be careful that you don't damage the wiring, because that is something that's not going to be easy to replace. I'm going to go ahead and remove them just by hand. Okay, I decided I'm going to try to film it. The first 2 right here. Of course, this would have been much easier had I not undid it. The first 2 are for the heater core, the next 2 are for the thermostat. And you see the back of it has just come out. And I'm going to have to use 2 hands, but here you can see the wires and how they come off. So I'm going to go ahead and take the other 4 off, and then we'll remove this heater assembly from the rear of the dryer. Okay, with all the wires removed, I'm going to go ahead and remove this back cover. And dryer vent. This comes out too. It does to fit back into the correct opening in there. Now, if everything's right, I should be able to just pull out the heater assembly. So let's go check this out. Alright, so here's our old heater core, and if we want to troubleshoot this, we can check it with an ohm meter. Right now the ohm meter is showing an open circuit. I'll go ahead and touch the leads together. There I'm getting continuity. So currently it's saying it's open. I'm going to check the heater core, and if it stays at the open reading, then it's bad, but I'm getting a resistance around 10 ohms or so, which is what we would expect with a heating core. With the thermostat, it shouldn't be open, but we shouldn't get much resistance, if any. And there I'm getting a reading of 0.1 ohm, maybe less, across it. And here is the thermostat fuse. Now this is a true fuse, so if it's popped, it should show an open circuit. If it's not popped, then I should have continuity through it. So hopefully it will show open, and it does. So this fuse is popped. This is the second one, well, not the second one I put in, the first one I put in, but it replaces the original that popped. So something else is wrong. Most likely, and I'm speculating, the thermostat is not kicking off the heater element, which is causing it to get so hot that it pops the safety fuse. The other possibility is that there's a problem with the control board and that the thermostat is sending the right signal. But rather than just replace the thermostat next, for $62 I ordered the entire assembly from Amazon. You saw how easy it was to get out. So this should be fairly easy to put back in. So we'll go ahead and swap this around. See that this will have to be some assembly required apparently. So I'm bending this to match the other one. And then we also need to install the new fuse. Sorry, screwdriver was in the back, so. While I'm doing this, I'm going to warn you to be careful inside the dryer. There's some pretty sharp corners. If you notice a band-aid on my finger, took a nice chunk of meat out of my finger. Now let's just do a quick test and see what we're reading here. That's about 10. I think we were reading between 10 and 15 before. That one's good. And that one's also good. So as far as I can tell with a meter, all components are working as they should be since it's a new product. Alright, so the trick here is going to be to get this all lined up, and we'll make the electrical connections after. And I don't think I'm going to be able to give you much of a view. Let me see. Okay, so I know you didn't see too much. Maybe you heard some of it. It was surprisingly easy. Maybe we just got lucky. Kind of clicked into place. So now I've attached it. I'm going to go ahead and bend this back to a straight upright position. Now I just need to reattach those wires. They're kind of spaced to where they went before, and plus they're 3 different sizes, so there shouldn't be any confusion, but you might want to take note of which wires went where when you took them out. I'm going to go ahead and reach in there now and hook them up. Maybe I'll try to put the camera in there so you can see. I'll try to go around the back, see if I can hook those wires up. I think I'll start at this end. Okay, time to put the front panel on the door. Only thing I can see giving us some problems down here at the bottom. But looks pretty good. I'm going to reattach this door switch lead. Maybe. And that clips on. top. Go and take care of this bracket. Alright, now what might be the most difficult part is closing this top. You want it to click on the first try. So the clips look pretty good. The issue is going to be right in here. If these aren't kind of bent down a little bit, notice I've been cut again. Sharp edges. So I'm just going to kind of pull on them a little bit to make sure that they latch in place. I might push them in a little bit just to assist. Alright. Yep. In place. All good. Alright, so now we'll install this exhaust vent and cover. I'm going to have to get down here so I can eyeball it. So it turns and slides in. To a little fixed spot. And then you just have to get these tabs in. And with a little luck, all done for that part. Front door, and we should be ready to plug it in and try it out. Okay, I plugged it in, and I should warn you that previously when I first fixed it or first tried to replace that high temperature fuse, I cleaned the inside out. It was very dusty in there and dirty, and I thought that that might have been the reason why it overheated and tripped the fuse. Apparently there's another problem, and hopefully we now have that problem fixed. But I am going to go ahead and run it before I put the exhaust vent back on. If you haven't cleaned the unit out and made sure all the dust is out, I don't suggest you doing this. I just want to verify that it's blowing hot air before I attach it and put it back in the corner. So I'm going to go ahead and start it now and then feel for the hot air behind it. Okay, so it took a while, but I can feel the hot air and I can actually smell the burning smell of the new element. Now it's getting pretty warm, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it off and reattach the dryer vent in the back, and then I'll put it back in place. Okay, believe it or not, due to our dryer connections in the back and how the house is designed, this is as far back as I can get the dryer without crimping the exhaust hose. It seems to be working now. When I run it, it gets warm, so we know everything's working as it should. We'll try it on the different settings as we go. We need to wash some clothes and get them in here. So hopefully this was helpful. This was a Samsung dryer. Some of the front control mounted ones are exactly the same chassis at the bottom, so they will operate the same as this one. And even some of the domestic models are built very similar to this. So if you found this helpful, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.